This video is brought to you by Shroud of the Avatar, Forsaken Virtues. Shroud of the Avatar is a new fantasy multiplayer role-playing game from the legendary creator of the Ultima series, Richard Garriott. Explore New Britannia for free by creating a free trial account and join thousands of new Outlanders as they go on an adventure on the path of truth, love, and courage. Learn more about Shroud of the Avatar, Forsaken Virtues, at shroudoftheavatar.com.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel of the Avatar, and my name is Caballero and I'm here in Etceter Crag Mines, obviously to do some mining. And while I'm mining, I'm going to talk about or somewhat review Avengers Infinity War. So the first time I saw Avengers, I've seen Avengers Infinity War for like 2 times now, okay? So the first time I saw it was on April 25. So it came out early in in our part of the world. So I saw it with my entire family the first time, and then the second time I saw Avengers Infinity War was last Sunday with my daughter. So I saw Avengers Infinity War twice, and boy, this movie was great. The first time I saw it and the second time I saw it, okay? So because the second time I saw it, there was a lot of things that I missed during the first viewing that I caught in the second viewing. Like in the first viewing, I didn't really saw the snap. For some reason, none of us who watched the movie the first time, I watched the movie the first time with my family. I asked my kids that if they saw. I even asked my wife if they saw the snap. Okay, if they saw Thanos snapping his fingers. They don't remember it for some reason. I'm not sure if it was cut in that screening, but. Or maybe we're just too too focused, or not really was too distracted to to notice the snap, because when Thor attacked Thanos with Stormbreaker, I really thought that Thanos died. So maybe we were too distracted about it. We were too happy. That's why we didn't notice the snap. But the second time I saw the movie with my eldest daughter, I finally saw the snap. I saw Thanos snapping his fingers, and well, that was the end of everything. Well, not really everything. A lot of people died. Half of the universe died. A lot of Avengers or heroes died. Well, my belief is they didn't really die. Okay, especially Spider-Man, Black Panther. I think they were transported to this universe called the Soul Universe, something like that, the Soul World. I happened to I learned about that by watching this YouTube channel called Comics Explained. So it's a YouTube channel focused on comic books, so heroes, Marvel, DC, things like that. So many months ago, before Infinity War, I went there and watched the entire Infinity Gauntlet series. There was a video about it. So this guy, the YouTuber, I forgot his name, he would narrate what happened. I also went there to watch Thanos Quest, because in Infinity War is basically Thanos' quest, but without those but different. Instead of the gardener, instead of the runner, they use the Avengers. So it's very different. The Infinity War in the movies, in the MCU, is very different in the comic books. Again, I'm not a comic book reader. I just went there. I searched YouTube and found this channel, and then I watched a few videos, especially about Infinity War. Anyway, so I've said this is the title said is going to be like a review, and it obviously I started with a huge spoiler, and that is that is Thanos snapping his fingers. Okay, so and while I'm talking about Avengers Infinity War, I'm going to do some mining because that is what I do in Shroud of the Avatar. So for those who are not familiar with this game, it's Shroud of the Avatar. It's Richard Garriott's latest multiplayer role-playing game. Okay, I'm not going to call it an MMORPG because it's not massive enough. It has the game is divided into instances, so there's a lot of instances. So unlike MMORPGs, real MMORPGs, where the world is massive, where a lot of people can come together in a single area, in Shroud of the Avatar, according to their latest test, they were able to accommodate around 400 people in a scene. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, so if I'm mistaken, please correct me in the comment section. Okay, so about Avengers Infinity War, well, it started where Thor Ragnarok ended. So after the Marvel Studios logo, you'll hear distress calls coming from somewhere. Well, it's coming from the Asgardian ship, and then in the Asgardian ship, you'll see everyone is dead except for Heimdall, Loki, and Thor. And Thor is badly beat up. Okay, so there's also this weird and creepy looking character called Ebony Maw, and he was the one like narrating or talking, and it was very, very creepy the way he talks, because it's like be thankful to Thanos because Thanos killed you, something like that. So Thanos was merciful because Thanos ended their miserable lives, something to that effect. So Ebony Maw was among the 4 children of Thanos. Ebony Maw has the most lines, and he has the most creepy lines. Like it's like a cult. The way he talks is like a member of a cult, a religious cult, something like that. So we have there Heimdall, Loki, and Thor, and then Thanos was asking for the Tesseract. Thor was saying, no, we don't have the Tesseract. And then of course Loki, what do you call this, made the Tesseract appear and then called the Hulk, and then the Hulk came rushing and attacked Thanos. But that was only for, the Hulk was had the advantage for only a second, because after the initial attack by the Hulk, Thanos beat up the Hulk. Seriously, just like Thanos knows how to fight. So Thanos schooled the Hulk in the art of fighting. So the Hulk was badly beat up. Okay, and then Heimdall used the last of his dark magic to transport. He used the Bifrost, the rainbow bridge. Well, it doesn't really look like a rainbow, unlike in the comics. So the rainbow bridge looks like a rainbow. So Heimdall used the Bifrost, the last of his powers, to cast the Bifrost and then transport the Hulk back to Earth, and then from there, well, Loki, he tried his ways. He's the god of mischief. He tried to trick Thanos by pledging loyalty, but he then tried to stab Thanos with a knife. Thanos stopped him and then eventually snapped his neck. And then Thanos said, "There's no resurrecting this time." So based on that, I can say that Loki is dead forever. Okay, because Thanos said it. There is no resurrecting or no resurrection this time. As you know, Loki, the god of mischief, has this skill of getting killed or dying and then coming back to life, because that is his skill. He tricks people. He tricks his enemies. That's why he's called the tricksters, trickster. But this time, Thanos explicitly said there is no resurrecting this time. So, well, hey, that means Loki is dead. My goodness. And then after that, he got the space stone or the Tesseract. He put it in his gauntlet. During this time, Thor was bounded by metals, because Ebony Maw has this, I won't say it's magic, it's more like telekinesis. So he can control objects, he can move objects, and he bounded Thor with a lot of scrap metal, so Thor couldn't move and he couldn't swing. Then after putting the space stone in the gauntlet, Thanos and his children went away. Okay, so they went away. They're on their way to nowhere, and then Thor got freed from his whatever that is bounding him, and then the ship exploded. Okay. Then after that, what's next? Well, so the Hulk was transported by the Bifrost back to Earth. He landed in Doctor Strange Sanctum Sanctorium. I think that's what it's called, Sanctum, something like that. And he said he met with Doctor Strange and Wong, and he said Thanos was coming. And then after that, we go to a park in New York where Tony Stark was with Pepper Potts. They were talking about children, just no S with the children. Okay, so if, a little disclaimer here: English is not my native language. Okay, so if I'm sometimes rambling or not making sense, then I apologize. So they were talking about getting married and talking about children when Doctor Strange appeared out of nowhere. Doctor Strange can use the what do you call this, the sling ring, something like that, to open portals anywhere. So he opened a portal from the Sanctum and appeared in the park and said that he needed Tony Stark's help. Okay, and then Tony Stark wasn't convinced, and then Bruce or Banner appeared, and Banner was very emotional, and then what happened? He hugged Tony Stark. And then after that, they're back in the Sanctum, where Wong and Doctor Strange explained to Tony Stark what the Infinity Stones are. Okay, so it's like they're revealing to Tony Stark what would happen and who Thanos is. Basically, Bruce told them who Thanos is, or was, or is. Anyway. Then as they were talking, and then this huge ship appeared in the sky. It's called a Q ship. I think that's what it's called, a Q ship. It's a donut. It's a donut-shaped ship. So it appeared outside the sanctum. So they went out, and then Doctor Strange showed how powerful he is by stopping the Q ship. So the Q ship was causing devastation because it was, spinning around. It's creating this huge mass of air. It's coming, or whatever it is. It's destroying the immediate area. Then Doctor Strange cast some kind of magic and stopped it. And then from there, Ebony Maw and Carl Obsidian, beamed down like in Star Trek. They beamed down from the ship, and then they met with Tony Stark, Wong, Banner, and Doctor Strange. And then there was a huge fight in the game. So I'm trying to remember what happened in that fight. There was a huge fight between all of them, and here Banner was trying to Hulk up, but unfortunately Hulk wouldn't come out. So in this entire fight, the Hulk wouldn't come out. It's like he was afraid to come out. So I think the reason for that is, if you've seen Thor Ragnarok, the Hulk has like the mind of a toddler, or a 2-year-old, or a 5-year-old. So basically the Hulk has the mind of a kid. And as a kid, if you beat up a kid, obviously it'll be afraid, okay, because it's a kid. So I think the Hulk is so afraid of Thanos that he doesn't want to come out. And that's what happened. The entire movie, it was only Banner, except maybe from in the beginning, in that few seconds in the opening where the Hulk came out. But in the entire movie, the Hulk never came out. He was too afraid to come out. So, and then of course we have the Spider-Man scene in his bus. He was on a field trip. He asked Ned to create a diversion, but actually that was just a reaction. I don't think Ned heard Peter, but Ned was looking outside of the bus, and he saw the spaceship, the Q ship, and then he reacted to that. I don't think he heard Peter said to him to create a diversion. I think he saw the Q ship and then reacted and just shouted, "We're going to die!" And then everybody went to the other side of the bus, looking at the ship. Peter went to the other side, put on his mask, went out, he put on his web shooter, went out through the window, put on his mask, and then swung away and went to where the ship was located. So there's a massive fight, and Ebony Maw was very powerful, even though he was just using telekinesis. He was able to capture Doctor Strange. And then Spider-Man went after Doctor Strange, and there's a lot of humor in this fight scenes, like Tony Stark calling Ebony Maw Squidward, and then referring to Doctor Strange and Wong as the Wizard, things like that. So when Doctor Strange got transported to the ship, he was beamed up, like in Star Trek. Well, not exactly like Star Trek. So Peter was hanging on Doctor Strange. He was also taken up to the ship. He was still wearing his old Spider-Man costume. Okay, and then Tony Stark went after them. You'll see that in the trailer as the ship was going up. You'll see that Iron Man with his new bleeding edge armor. I think that's what it's called, the bleeding edge armor. he the armor can change shape to whatever it wants. So it created a thruster, a booster, a rocket booster, and then boosted up to the boosted and caught up with the ship. And then Spider-Man in the trailer, you'll see him hanging and then he fell because he was already, the ship was already above the atmosphere, so there were no more air or oxygen in that area. But Tony Stark activated the Iron Spider armor, so it flew to where the launcher for the Iron Spider armor flew from the Avengers headquarters to where Spider-Man is, and then it attached itself to Spider-Man, and then like the bleeding edge armor, it covered Spider-Man, and there you go. Spider-Man is now wearing the Iron Spider armor, and then a parachute, just like in the Spider-Man Homecoming movie, a parachute appeared behind Spider-Man. It pulled him away, but Spider-Man was able to hang on to the ship. He was able to enter the ship, and now both Spider-Man, Tony Stark, Doctor Strange were taken away by the ship, and they were heading towards Titan. And then after that, what's next? Well, back in New York, Dr. Wong went back to the Sanctum because no one is protecting the Sanctum. Of course, he needs to protect the Sanctum. And then Dr. Banner decided to picked up Tony Stark's phone and called, who else? Steve Rogers, Captain America, aka Nomad. And then after that, we transitioned to the Guardians of the Galaxy in space. They were heading towards the source of the distress call. The Asgardian ship. They were putting out a distress call. So the Guardians picked up the distress call and they were heading towards that. But when they arrived there, there was no more Asgardian ship. Everything was destroyed. A lot of bodies were floating in space, and one of those bodies that were floating was Thor's body. But Thor wasn't dead, so he hit the ship. Rocket was reacting like wipe it out, wipe it off, something like that. And then Thor opened his eyes and they took him into the ship. And then there was this funny scene about them, about Drax calling Thor a man. And then Star-Lord said, "I'm a man." Then Drax said, "No, you're a dude. This is a man." And then there was also a part where Gamora was massaging, touching Thor's muscles. So anyway, it was a very Guardians of the Galaxy moment, which is very funny. And of course, after that, they met, they talked, and then they divided the team. Now the captain is like Rocket. I don't know how that happened, but Rocket is now the captain. The Rocket and Groot went with Thor to Nidavellir to meet with Eitri, because Thor wanted to use the forge of the dwarves to create a new hammer. Okay, and then the Morons, as Thor and Rocket calls them, Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, and Mantis, they went to nowhere to get the Reality Stone. So they split up. One went, the first ship, the pod went to Nidavellir, and the main ship went to nowhere. Okay, so now in nowhere, they found Thanos. He was like asking for the Reality Stone from the Collector, but all of this was like not real. Okay, so Thanos already had has the reality stone, and he just created this fake reality. And in this fake reality, well, they thought, well, what the guardians were saying was not real. So in this reality, fake reality, Gamora was able to kill Thanos, and thinking that he killed his father, Gamora became very emotional. So the scene showed that Gamora still loves his father, because even though it's not his real father, Thanos basically kidnapped her. But Thanos was still the one who raised her. So there was like a lot of emotion. So you can see that Gamora still has some love for his father. And then Thanos revealed the truth about what they were saying. It wasn't real. Nowhere was devastated, decimated, destroyed, was in flames, because Thanos already has the reality stone. So Gamora was captured. Peter tried to kill Gamora, but that was Gamora's request. They both said they love each other. And then when Peter pulled the trigger, bubbles came out of his gun, because Thanos was using the reality stone to change the reality. So they went away. Thanos took Gamora, because Gamora knows where the Soul Stone is. And then the morons were left behind in nowhere. So I'm not sure where the scene went back, but I think it went back to Tony Stark. There's a lot of things happening, so I'm not sure if I can continue talking about the movie in the right order, as as it was shown in the movie. But all I can say is that there was also the scene with Vision and Wanda. They were in Scotland. As you know, Wanda is part of the Dark Avengers, the criminal Avengers, and Vision is with the government sanctioned Avengers. So there are two Avengers team. Back in Civil War we have the Team Cap and Team Iron Man. So they were in a they were hanging out, or they were meeting each other in Scotland. It was like secret meeting. None of the two teams know where they are, but they were there. Who was that? It was Proxima Midnight, and was the other guy? Ebony Maw, called Obsidian. Well, the other guy, I forgot the name of the other children of Thanos. So they were there. Vision got stabbed, and because of that he couldn't use his power of facing. So Vision is a very powerful Avenger, but without his facing, he only has his mind blast, the blast from the Mind Stone, or Mind Stone, and strength. So the getting stabbed, that was very unexpected. He didn't see it coming, so that disabled the Vision. So during that fight, Wanda, or Scarlet Witch, was very badass, very powerful in this fight. She was the only one keeping Vision safe from the two enemies. And then when they were cornered by the children of Thanos, Proxima Midnight, and this other guy, the rest of the Avengers appeared. Captain America, Black Widow, and the Falcon appeared, and they kicked the ass of these two children of Thanos beings or whatever. Proxima Midnight and this other guy. So they kicked their asses and they escaped. They got beamed up back to their ship. They went back home, and then the Avengers with Captain America, they also went back home. Well, when I say home, they went back to the Avengers headquarters, and they met up with War Machine. Okay, so from there they talked about Banner met with Black Widow. As you know, they have this kind of relationship back in Avengers Age of Ultron, so they haven't seen each other for like a couple of years or a few years. So that was their first time meeting each other, and then they need to take out the Mind Stone from the Vision, and unfortunately Bruce or Banner don't know how to do it, and then Cap or Captain America said he knows a place, and that place was Wakanda. So they went to Wakanda with the Vision. They met with Black Panther, and who else was there? And then there was this funny scene where Banner was bowing to Black Panther. As Black Panther is royalty, he is the king of Wakanda. So Banner was bowing, and of course the Winter Soldier with his new arm was there. The arm was given later, before that scene. So basically, the Winter Soldier, they were referring to the Winter Soldier as the White Wolf. Of course, he's missing an arm, and they gave him this new badass-looking vibranium. I think that's the metal vibranium arm made by, I guess, Shuri. I'm sure Shuri made that arm. So they met there, and what happened next? Well, I think the scene went back to space. Okay, so we see Tony Stark, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Peter. Doctor Strange was being poked by these weird-looking needles, and Ebony Maw said those needles were used for microsurgery, so they were poking. So Doctor Strange was getting poked by these needles, these crystal-looking needles, and they need to save Doctor Strange from Ebony Maw. And Peter or Spider-Man had this idea, and they used this scene from the Alien movie or Aliens movie. I don't know what movie it is. It's Aliens, Alien 3. So they used a scene from the Aliens movie, and it worked. Ebony Maw got sucked out in space, and then he froze to death. I'm not sure if he's dead. So they were able to kill Ebony Maw really, really easy and fast. So they were able to save Doctor Strange from Ebony Maw. And then they decided, instead of going back, they went forward to Titan. And then in Titan they met up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. A small skirmish or a brief battle happened that ended up in a Mexican standoff. There was a funny scene here where Star-Lord caught Spider-Man, and it was like threatening to kill Spider-Man with his gun that shoots out bubbles. Okay, so and he was asking, where is Gamora? And then Tony or Iron Man pinned down Drax, and he said, who is Gamora? And then Drax, said, I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora? That scene was pretty funny. And then also, as Iron Man was threatening to blast, Iron Man created this huge blaster to blast Drax, and Drax was what do you call this, egging Iron Man to do it, to shoot him, because he says he can take it, but Mantis says no, you can't. And then of course after that they were talking and they were devising a plan. And what else happened? Well, they talked about the stones. And then while they were talking, Doctor Strange was looking forward to multiple futures. He looked at 14,605 futures and only saw one future where they win. So wow, that's a lot of future, and they only win once. Okay, so back in the Mad Titans ship, we have Gamora and Thanos. They were talking about and then Thanos was asking for what were they talking about? Thanos was asking for the location of the Soul Stone, and Gamora wouldn't tell her where the Soul Stone was. So Thanos used Nebula. Thanos was torturing Nebula. As you know, Nebula and Gamora are like sisters. Well, they are sisters, but not by blood. They are both children of Thanos. So Thanos was torturing Nebula, and Gamora had no choice but to tell where the Soul Stone was located. So they went to this planet called Vormir, where they met up with who else? The Red Skull. So the Red Skull was in Vormir, and he all these years, for like 80 years or 90 years, he was keeping the Soul Stone. He was like the keeper of the Soul Stone, and the only way to get the Soul Stone is that Thanos must sacrifice something that he loves the most. So Red Skull said, a soul for a soul, and Gamora was kind of happy because she said that Thanos doesn't love anything, but Gamora was wrong. And then when Gamora realized that Thanos really loved her or loves her, she tried to kill herself, but again the knife became or turned into bubbles, reality stone. And then Thanos was very emotional in this scene. He was crying, but he had to make this sacrifice, and he had to sacrifice Gamora. So he pulled Gamora and threw her over the cliff. And after that, Gamora was shown dead, and then there was this light, and then Thanos appeared a few distance from where he was. He was soaked in water. There was some kind of body of water. He was soaked in water, and he was holding the Soul Stone, and he added it to the gauntlet. So now Thanos has like four of the Infinity Stones. And then Thanos went to Titan. Of course, he can teleport himself, where he met and fought the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy. So this was an amazing fight. The most amazing fights happened in Titan. Okay, there was a fight in Wakanda, but I feel that the best fights happened in Titan, because in Titan Thanos wasn't fully powered up. So because every time Thanos puts down one of those stones in the gauntlet, he kind of levels up. Okay, it becomes more powerful. So he has 4 stones. He's very powerful, but still, the team of Star-Lord and Tony Stark, they were able to somewhat damage Thanos for a bit. In fact, they almost what do you call this? They almost took the gauntlet off of Thanos, but Star-Lord kinda messed that up, because when he asked where Gamora is, well, Mantis said, because Mantis was holding down Thanos, that's why they were able to pin him down. Mantis said Thanos was in mourning, and well, when you mourn, that means somebody died. And since Gamora wasn't with Thanos, it was just Thanos doesn't need to say anything else. So Star-Lord kind of felt that Gamora was killed, was dead, and as you know, Star-Lord is very emotional, so he lost his mind and kept attacking Thanos. Because of that, Mantis what do you call this? Loses her hold on Thanos' head. Okay, so she lost her control, and then everything fell apart. So they almost beat Thanos at that point, and everything fell apart just because of Star-Lord. So Thanos got the gauntlet back and decimated everyone, and then he used this moon. He didn't bring down the moon. It's like he crushed the moon and took a huge chunk of the moon and pull it down. Okay, so there was like a lot of scenes here. Like during the fight, we have Spider-Man with a combination attack with Doctor Strange, where Spider-Man was like doing teleporting or appearing from portals created by Doctor Strange, and he was attacking Thanos, and he was shouting things like "magic with a kick," magic, something like that. So it was a very fun battle scene. Okay, so after that, Tony got stabbed. Tony, or Iron Man, almost died, but Doctor Strange. Okay, also Doctor Strange used a lot of his powers. He has this Kagebushin technique, where he made multiple copies of himself. That was really awesome. But Thanos used the gauntlet to destroy the fake Doctor Strange. And then, if you remember in the Doctor Strange move, there is like the mirror world. He also used that. So basically, this version of Doctor Strange is a much more powerful version. It's not the same as the Doctor Strange that we saw in his movie. So it's been a couple of years, or a few years already, so maybe he has learned a lot of new magic spells, or maybe he learned everything. Doctor Strange is a very intelligent being. He must have learned all the secret magic spells or skills or whatever, and he was using those. But still, it wasn't enough to stop Thanos. Okay, so Tony or Iron Man got beat up. He got stabbed, and Doctor Strange offered the Time Stone to Thanos in exchange for sparing Tony's or Iron Man's life. Okay, so I believe that was Doctor Strange intended that. Maybe that is part of that one future where they win. Maybe in that future where they win, they gave Thanos the Time Stone. Okay, so when Thanos got the Time Stone, again he leveled up, And while all of this was happening, there was a huge fight in Wakanda. You know, the Call of Obsidian and Proxima Midnight. They drop a lot of those space creatures, and they were invading Wakanda. Wakanda has this shield, has this dome that was keeping the invading forces at bay, but they had to open the shield, because if not, they would have taken over everything. But because they opened the shield, in front of them, all the enemies were charging in front and not anywhere else. So there was a huge battle. The Hulk still wouldn't come out. Because of that, I don't know where Banner got the Hulk Buster, but he was in the Hulk Buster. So instead of the Hulk, Dr. Banner or Bruce was in the Hulk Buster. So there was this huge fight between the Wakandans and the space dog creatures, or space dogs as they call it. I don't know what the names of these creatures are. So they are big, four-armed creatures. They're very different from the Shotoris. The Shotoris are like humanoids, but these creatures were more animal-like. Okay. Then of course, Wanda, when this big spinning weapons of death or vehicles of death appeared, Wanda came out and then just showed how powerful she was. These things were so big, massive. She just lifted them all up and then crashed them all down on the enemies. There was some huge, massive destruction that happened after that. But because she left Vision unguarded, the other guy that I still couldn't remember the name appeared and fought Shuri, but they failed, and the Vision, what happened is Vision turned up fighting this guy. So what happens next? Of course, Thor also appeared. Okay, now that he has the Bifrost. Oh, I forgot about that. So they went to Nidavellir. The forge was shut down, and all the dwarves except one was alive, and that dwarf was E3. I think he was the king of the dwarves. So they were the one who forged Mjolnir. Unfortunately, the neutron star, the dead neutron star, was not working. It was dead. So the forge was dead, and all the dwarves were dead, and there was also a copy of the gauntlet. So it looks like the dwarves created the gauntlet, the Infinity Gauntlet, for Thanos, and then killed everyone except one. So, and E3 was played by Peter Dinklage. And the dwarf in Nidavellir is not your typical dwarf. They are giants. Okay, so it's very ironic. Though dwarves are small, but in this case they were giants. They were big. Okay, so Thor started the forge, was able to restart the forge, and E3 was able to forge the hammer. It was a new hammer. Well, it's not a hammer, it's more of an axe. It was Stormbreaker. It was called Stormbreaker, and it is more powerful than Mjolnir because it has the power to create a Bifrost. Okay, and the handle was made from Groot's hand. So Groot chopped up his hand and to create the hammer, the handle for the new weapon of Thor, Stormbreaker. So they appeared They appeared during the battle in Wakanda. Thor used the Bifrost. He had an exciting entrance. Rocket was with him, and Thor kept calling Rocket Rabbit. Okay, I don't know why, but he kept calling Rocket Rabbit. Maybe Thor hasn't seen a raccoon because there are no raccoons in there are no raccoons in Asgard. So Thor appeared and just killed everyone that was near him with Stormbreaker. So Thor was very, very powerful. Okay, so after that, Thanos has the Time Stone. There was fighting in Wakanda. He defeated the Guardians and the Avengers in Titan. Then he appeared in Wakanda, and he was so powerful that no one could stop him. The Hulkbuster couldn't stop him. Black Panther couldn't stop him. Falcon couldn't stop him. War Machine got crushed like a tin can. Seriously. But Thanos didn't kill him. So Thanos is not a killer. Basically, he kills when he needed to kill, but he doesn't kill indiscriminately. He didn't kill anyone in Wakanda. Okay, so he crushed War Machine. The armor got crushed like a tin can, but still War Machine survived. Captain America, well, he was able to put up a fight in a few seconds just by holding Thanos' hands, but then he got punched out. And then during this time, the Vision and Wanda was trying to destroy the Mind Stone from Vision, which she succeeded. She was able to destroy the Mind Stone, and it also destroyed the Vision. I thought in that point, we won, but no, I forgot that Thanos had my reaction to that was in the first viewing. I thought they won, but I forgot Thanos had the Time Stone, and then Thanos just turned back time and restored the Mind Stone, and then he knocked out Wanda, threw her away, and then he pulled the Mind Stone right off the Vision's head, and then put it in his gloves, and he leveled up again. And at that point, Thor's Stormbreaker came out of nowhere and hit Thanos right in the chest. So, okay, and then Thor came down and he was pushing the axe through Thanos' body, and then Thanos said, "You should have aimed for my head." Okay, and then Thanos lift up his hand and did the snap, and then there was a white light, and that's it. They were saying, "What did he do? What did he do?" And then Thanos appeared in another dimension, something like that, where I think it's the Soul World. Gamora, baby Gamora, little Gamora was there, and then Gamora asked, "Did you do it?" And of course, Thanos said yes, and then little Gamora asked, "What's the cost?" Thanos said, "Everything." So it cost Thanos everything to fulfill his ambition, or his one wish, and that is to balance the universe by eliminating half of the life in the entire universe. And then the scene went back, and then Thanos used the space stone to escape. Also, the gauntlet was burnt. It was heavily damaged, as well as Thanos right side of the body. I'm not sure if that was caused by him snapping his finger, or it was caused by Stormbreaker. As you know, Stormbreaker is also has the power of lightning, so it's burnt, and lightning can burn. If you get hit by lightning, you'll burn. So I'm not sure if the burn was caused by Stormbreaker or it was caused by him snapping his fingers. And then Steve Rogers was saying, what happened, what did he do? And then one by one, some of the Avengers were, turning into dust. Black Panther turned into dust. Falcon turned into dust. Groot turned into dust. Wanda turned into dust. So most of the new Avengers or new heroes turned into dust. Peter Quill, Star-Lord turned into dust. Doctor Strange turned into dust. Mantis turned into dust. Drax turned into dust. The most emotional death, if we can call it a death, was when Spider-Man turned into dust. He was like, Mr. Stark, I don't want to go. I'm sorry. And then he held Tony, Iron Man, and then he laid down and turned into dust. It was a very, very, the last scene was very, very emotional. So it also means that it was happening all over the universe, just not on planet Earth, not on Earth, but the entire universe. Half of life in the universe were fading away. So they were turning into dust. So my thought here is that they're not really dead. They are being transported in the soul universe. But of course, that was not shown in the movie. All was shown was that they died by ceasing to exist. So that's, well, they didn't die, they ceased to exist. Okay, so that's what kind of happened. They ceased to exist. And then next Thanos was shown in this other planet or whatever that world is. He has his own hut, some kind of hut or house, and he was there. He was resting, and he was smiling. He was happy because he did what he set out to do, and that is to balance the universe. So he did exactly what he did, or he wanted to do. And after that, boom, the end. Also, the end credits. There is only one end credits at the end of the movie, and it showed Agent Maria Hill and Nick Fury. It kind of showed that the event is happening all over. Ordinary people were disappearing. They were turning into dust. A helicopter just went down and hit a building because maybe the pilot turned into dust. Cars were crashing everywhere because the drivers were turning into dust. Agent Maria Hill turned into dust, and then Nick Fury ran towards the car, took his pager, and sent a message. And while he was trying to send a message, he turned into dust, and the pager fell to the ground, and then it showed the logo of Captain Marvel. So we don't know where Captain Marvel is. Maybe she is somewhere in the universe, or maybe she disappeared. We don't know. She could, because half of the universe ceased to exist. So half of the universe turned into dust. So we don't know if Captain Marvel turned into dust or if she survived. Also, Ant-Man and Hawkeye were not in the movie because what happened in Civil War. They took a plea because they have families, so they were in house arrest. So that was mentioned in the movie. So we don't know if they also turned into dust. So my guess is Hawkeye didn't turn into dust. His family did. His family turned into dust. And in Avengers 4, we're going to see a different kind of Hawkeye. you know, a more damaged Hawkeye, and that would be great to see. Okay, so what else? So the movie is very exciting. It's very fun. It has a lot of funny moments. It's epic in scale. Those complaining that it doesn't have much of a story, well, basically, Avengers Infinity War is the third act. The entire movie is the third act of the MCU. So you'll have to see most of the movies in the MCU to fully appreciate and understand Avengers Infinity War. I've seen some reviewers or critics that has like millions of subscribers. They were complaining that Infinity War doesn't have a story. Okay, so well, it doesn't have much of a story because it's the final act in a multiple series of films. Okay, so the entire movie is the final act, and it delivered. And it's also an event movie. Everything was happening at once, all over the place. But even though it's like that, it's not very hard to follow. Okay, it's very gratifying. Okay, so it's my only problem with Avengers Infinity War is that some of the effects are not that good, especially Proxima Midnight. The effects on Proxima Midnight, she has some movements that's very clunky and looks really fake. Also, what else? Thor on Earth, when he is flying, or you know, he looks very fake. But overall, it was an awesome movie, and if you guys haven't seen it, I suggest that you go and see it. Of course, if you already, of course, if you're watching this, it's a spoiler-filled review or recap of the movie, and I hope you guys kind of understood what I'm saying, because there are times I don't even understand myself. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you enjoyed it, then well, like the video, share to your friends, and subscribe to my channel in YouTube if you're watching this in YouTube, or follow me in Twitch if you're watching this in Twitch, and in Mixer, in Smashcast, Stream.me, and Periscope. Okay, so I guess that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if I'm going to give Avengers Infinity War a score, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's almost perfect, and now I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in Avengers 4, and we still don't know what's the title of Avengers 4. Really looking forward to that. And again, I'm going to take all my family to see Avengers 4. It's the Marvel movies are the only movies we are the only superhero movies that we watch. As much as I like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, I grew up watching them in Super Friends. Their movies are not that good, and my kids don't want to go see them. That's why I don't go and see them, because I always watch movies with my family, my kids. And if my family don't want to see Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, I don't go as well. But they do love watching Marvel movies. In fact, my youngest daughter wants to see her favorite superhero is Ant-Man, and she wants to see Ant-Man and the Wasp this July. So I'm going to take her, maybe with my other kids as well, if they want to see Ant-Man and the Wasp. Anyway guys, thank you for watching, and as always, see you in Shroud of the Avatar. Bye bye.